Welcome to Mock the Mock, where we take a look at someone else's mock draft and I mock it, giving you my thoughts, perspective, and views. And you read the title right. It is a 7-round mock draft. And we got Ian Cummins himself from Pro Football Network in-house today. He's gonna sit there while we take a look at his mock drafts, and we're gonna share opinions. It's a beautiful, beautiful discourse. So go ahead, like the video, do all that YouTube stuff, but go ahead and enjoy. It's a long one. All right, I'm here with Ian Cummins from Pro Football Network. Tell us where we can find you, sir.
Yeah, so Ian Cummins can find me at Pro Football Network. Got a lot of good draft content coming in this season. At Ian_Cummins_9 is where you can find my work. As for PFN, because I know I got my guys Ali, Cam, Tony, Pauline. They all do great work. James Fergoza. So if you want to check them out too, PFN 365 is the way to go.
I like that. You're throwing your guys out there. That's
Oh man, Ali's like half of my evaluation. If I haven't scouted a guy, I'm just like, hey, what do you think about this guy? And then he's like, oh, he's good, or oh, he's trash. It's like, all right, I got it.
all right. I'm moving them down 3 rounds. Got it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so you got a very impressive 7-round mock. I personally know how hard it is to come up with these mocks, but we'll get into the first round, and then we'll go over a couple of the guys you had on day 2 and day 3. And if you want to check out the full mock draft, obviously I'm going to leave a link in the description, or you could probably, just Google 7-round mock draft. It's one of the first things that pop up. I know that's how I got there. So you pulled the draft order, I'm assuming, from betting odds.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know why people complain about that.
It would be so tough to like reorder it every time based on what you're feeling, right? I mean, just honestly, all the work that already goes into, making the picks, I would not want to, make the pick order either. Yeah, we defer to Vegas for that.
Yeah, exactly. Let them. They're experts. But I like that you went quarterback, because I always say personally that, hey, if there's a top quarterback, it's the most important position on the roster. Go ahead, address that. If you're picking first overall, take the best quarterback. Obviously, unless you got like a Daniel Jones or someone there, you don't want to do it.
Yeah, don't
EJ
force
Manuel
it.
type of draft. But you got Malik Willis here. Tell me about this pick.
Yeah, so this is a kind of a projection, right? But I think one of the things we wanted to see from him was more operational growth this year. I mean, you look at that skill set. I think Feldman had him in his article. He had a 4.5 40-yard dash and a 38.5-inch vertical at 6'1", 215. So he's a big guy, dense, really good running threat. And then on top of that, he can use that to evade rushers. Got a really strong arm. I mean, he generates velocity with a ton of ease, and he can carry that velocity down the field. And that's a really big thing for me. The biggest thing with him, I think, was pinpoint accuracy and touch. And I think he's improved that so far this year. They haven't played a ton of really good teams yet, so we'll have to keep watching. Yeah, they won't either. So that's kind of the asterisk there. But execution is execution, no matter who you play. I mean, doing it against a heightened level of adversity is definitely important, but it is nice to see that from him. And the way I see it is, if you talk about quarterbacks needing to do more, I think in the modern NFL, needing to do more and to create for yourself is definitely important, not just with your legs, but with your arm. If you ask me which quarterback in this class could do that, had the most capacity for that, I'd probably say Malik Willis. And that's why I think he goes here. As long as he improves his accuracy and his decision-making, which I think he has so far, then he's definitely got a skill set worth betting on with the number 1 pick.
Yeah, me personally, when it came to Malik Willis, I think a lot of his stuff was lower body mechanics, just where he had his feet, how he was setting his feet.
Yeah.
And
that's a common one for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, that's one of the more easy to fix things too. So yeah, I thought he looked pretty good in the first game. But I think I just want to ask in terms of like how you draft when it comes to this. I'm assuming like quarterback plays is probably has the heftiest weight.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because like, I don't know, like I see mock drafts with Kyle Hamilton and First overall, like don't get me wrong, as a player, I think he's really good, man. I think he could be a top 5 player, if you weren't going with positional value. And I do think that the traditional safety positional value may need to be revisited in his case because he's so versatile and dynamic. But I don't think teams are going to see it that way. I think, they look at he's a safety we can wait a little bit. And I also think quarterbacks, they're so important to your team's success, getting the right one, that if there's a guy you think he could be the right guy, then you're going to use your capital to get him. And you're going to get as high as you can so that you get before those other guys who are also jockeying for him. So I think quarterbacks just naturally drive up the board. I mean, honestly, I don't know when we're going to see a draft that has a number 1 overall pick that's not a quarterback again. Just because if you need a quarterback and you have your pick of the litter in this class, like, you're going to do everything you can to get him. Honestly, I think that's how it is. So that positional value makes it so tough for any other position to get some real estate up there.
Nah, I am in total agreement. I get so much crap when I put quarterback here at number 1. It's like, oh, dude, no, you got to go like Thibodeaux or Stingley before the UCLA game. And it's like, yeah, unfortunately. But it's like that won't make a difference. It's like, if you remember back to like the Texans, it's like, okay, did Mario Williams make that a win-in franchise? Did Clowney, did he make that a win-in franchise? No, they didn't get the quarterback position correct, and you have to do that first and foremost, I think. Especially because you don't know where you're going to be at next year. You don't know if you'll have the first overall. You don't know if if you're a team like Detroit, man, you've established capital, because I am firmly believe that they're gonna move on from Jared Goff, and actually you think the same thing. Tell us about your next pick here.
Yeah, Matt Corral, man, Detroit. I'm in full agreement, and I'm a Michigan State Detroit fan. I live in mid-Michigan, so I've kind of seen this. Matt Stafford, I thought, got the bad end of the deal in Detroit, and now he's obviously thriving in Los Angeles. But you need a quarterback, really. That's the biggest thing. And I thought Dan Campbell, I would have argued for it, because I really love Justin Fields. I would have argued for them taking him at, I think it was like 7 or 6. It was up there near that top 5. Yeah. They took Penei Sewell, who's a great player, don't get me wrong. And I do think that this class will give them the opportunity to get their guy. But yeah, Matt Corral, I think he has the traits to do it for sure. He's a little bit on the smaller side, but for me personally, prototypical quarterback size isn't a big thing for me. Like, I mean, I love it if you have it, but if you don't, like, it's not a deal breaker. Some guys are like, oh, they need to be 6'4", 230, or else I'm not drafting them. That's not how I roll. I think Corral is.
I think we've moved away, or at least for the most part, the NFL has started to move away from that.
Yeah, and rightfully so. Like, it's not a deal breaker. It shouldn't be. There's other things that play into it, like, natural accuracy, like arm talent, arm elasticity, being able to change your angles and adjust trajectory and hit those tight windows, and then athleticism too. And I think Matt Corral checks all those boxes personally. I mean, as an athlete, I was especially surprised, but
dude, right? He's got some serious escapability, right?
Yeah. Like, it's not just like explosiveness and burst, he's pretty, twitchy and laterally elusive too. So I really like to see that from him. I think he's a good evader. And then as a passer too, I mean, he has that gunslinger mentality. He's willing to test really tight windows. So far, that hasn't bit him this year. It did last year a lot. We talk about those 6 interception, the 4 interception games. Those turnovers, man, you got to cut them out. And if you can tone down that volatility, that's the biggest thing for him. So far this year, he's done that. I think they play Alabama in 2 weeks. They play them early
That'll be the
early
real
October.
Litmus test right there.
That will be the litmus test for Matt Corral. But if he can keep, being consistent in that regard, I think his decision-making has been good. I think he's really naturally accurate, really naturally congruent with his mechanics, which I really like to see for a guy with his talent. He channels it very well. So number 2 overall, I think, is definitely not out of the question for him if he can keep progressing like that. I think, plus the gunslinger mentality, man, I tell you, Dan Campbell would love that. He would love that.
Dude. Dan the man, dude. Golly, dude. I love his press conferences. Yeah. But yeah, no, I agree with Matt Corral. Actually, Alex from the Hail Mary podcast, he's a big Matt Corral fan. I mean, he understands, he's got to improve the decision making. We've seen that thus far, I think. So, especially when the quarterback class kind of feels this wide open right now, I think, hey, why not? Let's test the water. Let's see some guys that could come up boards, because everybody wants that next Joe Burrow, Zach Wilson. Who's that guy gonna be? So, all right, well, let's quit talking about quarterback and talk about Jacksonville. Evan Neal. I actually love this pick a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Cam Robinson on the franchise tag, going to be gone next year.
I'm surprised he even got it this year or this past year.
Honestly, man. I mean, here's anytime you get a quarterback they got Trevor Lawrence, number one. You gotta, good night. My mom just said good night. I live in my parents' house. But yeah, so yeah, anytime you get a quarterback, you invest in that quarterback, you got to invest in his protection too. I think that's the biggest thing, because I don't want Lawrence on his back 60 times next year, so get a guy who can protect him, get that guy who can keep him safe and keep him, comfortable in structure. And I think Evan Neal can be that guy. I think the biggest thing that we were thinking about with him, definitely an athletic specimen at like 6'7", 360. Needed to add a little bit more polish this year. And his balance was kind of an issue in the offseason, but he's been dominant so far this year, man. I mean, his hands are violent. He's super powerful. Once he gets his hands on you, it's really tough to disengage, man, because he's just so strong and so athletic. He can bury you, So I really like, to his drive. You like a guy with those traits to use those traits to their full capacity, and I think he does that. So, adding him on the left side with Trevor Lawrence, I mean, to me, there's not many guys that I'd rather have. I don't think there's a guy in this class I'd rather have protecting my quarterback than Evan Neal. I think he's a great player.
Yeah. Well, I mean, admittedly, the tackle class is kind of falls off a little bit after this.
It's kind of a low bar for sure, but Neal clears it and then some for sure. Kind of like that box jump.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Box jump lunge. Yeah. Throw some respect. It was a lunge. Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to his contact, for me, he's kind of a bit of a lunger. I think he just gets ahead of himself. I don't think it's any. I don't think it's footwork issue. I don't think it's I guess a base issue. I think it's just because he lunges. Like that Alabama offense, they love to run the football, so he's constantly in run blocking mode. I don't know, man.
Going past your center of gravity,
Exactly. Like he just plays ahead of himself. Yeah. So I think thus far this year we've seen at least in the Miami game, I got to witness that. That was great. He looked a lot better. He was destroying some dudes. Like Miami was, and what I liked was the blitz pickup, because Miami, I think they were blitzing at a very high rate because they knew there was no way they were going to be getting pressure otherwise. Yeah. But golly, dude, I thought he did a wonderful job at that. But no, I think you're totally right with Jacksonville. I think you can definitely make argument for Thibodeaux, or some other prospects here, but I like the idea of protecting your quarterback. You gotta protect your guy.
And plus they have, I've gotten crap for this from Jacksonville fans. They do have Josh Allen and Kaiir Elam, who they drafted. Yeah. I'm not super high on that combo. I do, and I think that adding Thibodeaux, like anytime you can add a guy like Thibodeaux to your edge rushing core, it's a good thing, right? But I do think if you have the quarterback, protect him. I think that's the biggest thing, because if you don't, you might end up, that might be a sunk cost down the line.
Yeah, Andrew Luck, Joe Burrow looks like he's recovering thus far.
Yeah,
very good outing. But no, I think you're right, dude. Especially with I've never been the big Chazon fan, and when they got rid of Joe Schubert, right? That's how you say Schobert. Yeah. I honestly thought they were gonna move Chazon to like the inside. Because I think he has that ability. He actually dropped back in coverage quite a bit there at LSU. But I don't know. That apparently may not be the case. But I agree, dude. It's not a wonderful pass rushing duo. I think Josh Allen, he's at the end of his rookie year or rookie deal this year or next year?
I think it's next year. But he has that 5th year option that he could could exercise too. So
yeah,
I don't think
I get mixed up with the other Josh Allen and their contracts, dude.
I know, right? Same.
When they came out, I should say.
I think he sticks around for a little bit, but again, I mean, he had a really good rookie year. It kind of fell off a little bit. I don't know. It's not an overwhelming threat. He could rebound this year. I think he had a good week 1, if I remember right. But I got to go back and watch.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, last year they didn't blitz a ton. Their play calling on defense was terrible. So it was like you're literally the main pass rushing threat on a constant 4-man fronts. They didn't really give him help. He was constantly double teamed. I don't think he was healthy completely through the whole year last year. So
no, he wasn't.
Yeah, but you got Thibodeaux going to the Jets. I like this. You explain yours, and I got a different route that I like going with this.
Yeah, I really can't do much explaining here. I mean, to me,
Yeah, he's great.
yeah, honestly, I mean, he's a great player. I mean, you guys have probably all heard about it. I mean, explosive. He moves like a gazelle. He rockets off the line. Really good length too, and with that, he can cultivate a lot of artificial power, and it definitely shows up. Like he can move guys and then run defense. He's pretty flexible, pretty solid setting the edge too. So just all around, really good upside. And looking at the Jets, man, I mean, Carl Lawson out with an injury, and then they don't have much outside of him. So I think adding to that edge core, it'll be like a second free agency next year, getting Lawson back and then having Thibodeaux on the other side can be a really good combo. So that's my thought process personally. I mean, they could go corner. I know their corner room is absolutely bare, but you got to start somewhere. For me, it's Thibodeaux.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I actually, I really like DeMarvin Leal at this spot because I kind of see him on the outside. I mean, apparently, so does Texas A&M, but but I kind of like him in this kind of like Eric Armstead role for Salah's defense. At least when I was trying to make who would be good fits here, because I mean honestly, Thibodeaux, he could probably fit any defense you really want him to. Mm-hmm. He's that great of an athlete, but. I think Leal's not too far off. I mean, if he doesn't look it, but if he is really 290 and moves the way he does, then freaking holy moly, dude. Watch out. I like that cat a lot. He's actually one of my...
You're absolutely right. He's fun too. And I love the positional flexibility that he has on the line. Thibodeaux is probably going to be an edge guy, but Leal, you can move him around a little bit. That's always nice.
Yeah. Then you got Cincinnati going Andrew Booth over Derek Stingley.
Yeah, dude. I mean, did you see that Georgia game? I mean, he was flying. He was flying everywhere. And it was a big projection for, and it's still kind of a projection right now. Like, I think, him, Stingley, I'm a big fan of Kaiir Elam, but I think it's
a great
Stingley.
Corner class. I'm a big fan of a lot of guys in this corner class.
Yeah, honestly, man. Trent McDuffie too. I mean, Ahmad Gardner. I mean, the list goes on and on. But
I do get lost in the sauce.
Exactly. Always get lost in the sauce, man. But Andrew Booth is a fun guy, that body control, those ball skills. You kind of saw those really acrobatic, gravity defying plays on the ball last year that made you really want to see more. And I feel like we have seen a little bit more so far this year. Week 1 against Georgia. The biggest thing for him was mentally, can you see things faster? Can you click and close faster? And I think we saw that against Georgia. There was one play, a screen to the left side of the field. He recognized it right away and just rocketed toward the ball. I mean, he has closing speed and the instincts for making plays on the ball. I think that rivals Stingley personally. So he has that upside. It's just a matter of him getting there. And I think you look at Stingley, having some of those effort issues against UCLA. I think some of it was overblown personally. Like, I mean, it's bad. It's bad. He's still a top 10 guy, but it could be enough when the team is pitting them together. It could be enough to put Booth over Stingley. And then looking at the Bengals, Chidobe Awuzie, they signed in free agency, Mike Hilton in the slot. But Trey Waynes has not really been what
healthy.
They want him to be. No. Yeah, for sure. So,
and it's not. He's not like he's a cornerback one. So
yeah, exactly. Even when he's healthy, but he just hasn't been available, right? So I think reset there. Make that secondary elite and re-sign Jesse Bates for crying out loud, right? I mean, get him back. Seriously, I mean, re-sign him, Andrew Booth there. That can be a scary secondary. So I really like the upside there.
Oh yeah, I don't disagree. Like with Booth, like I really think athletically he could probably potentially challenge Stingley. Yeah, that was definitely one thing that really popped off because typically, like going into the season, my cornerback group was I'd had Stingley and then I was kind of like a mix between like Booth, Sauce, McDuffie, and Elam. And for me, it was like, oh man, Booth is definitely the speedster of the bunch. Like this guy's got some real like movement skills.
He's really twitchy and fluid too, man. I mean, he checks every box.
Does, yeah. So no, I like that pick there, especially with Evan Neal off the board. So I mean, yeah, where else can you really go? And we got Carson Strong going at 6. So tell me why Carson Strong and why you hate Spencer Rattler.
Oh my goodness! Part of this, I feel a little irresponsible here because part of it was just me. Hey, I'm gonna tear things up. I'm gonna shake up the system, and so that's what I did.
That's the best way to do it, though.
Honestly, I just feel like Strong Rattler showed good progression in week 2. So I think it's way too early to write off any of these guys.
The FCS school.
Against the FCS school, which you need to throw that asterisk in there always for sure. But I think Carson Strong. For me, he's one of the higher floor quarterbacks in the class. And I think if his fit with Joe Brady, I do think he's a good fit there. You talk about, I think his mechanics are really good. I think he's really, his mental process is good too. Good decision maker. I think he sees things pretty quickly. He's got a great arm on top of that too. And then, honestly, he can drive the ball downfield. He can fit tight windows. I think he's pretty elastic too. He can change his angle, and he's not a creator. He's not going to produce on the run very often, but I do think he has enough mobility in his pocket passing mold where he can, evade guys a little bit, go off script a little bit. Again, he's not mobile, right? But he's not Kyle Trask. He's not a statue. He can actually do a little bit. So I do like that. There were some plays I know a couple weeks ago where he didn't see the safety downfield, thought he could force the ball in there. You got to recognize that for sure. But I do think he's accurate, a good decision maker in the short and intermediate ranges, and has that potential to be a really good facilitator for that offense. So that was my thought process there. I think the upside is enough as a pocket passer. Usually I'm going to go with a guy who can run more, but I think he has enough upside with that arm to kind of make it worth it. So that was my reasoning behind it. You could have gone with like a number of different guys, Rattler, like you said. I just kind of, what if Strong, can he fit this offense? I think he has the weapons to make it work.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a mock draft. Have fun with it. Open people's minds up with different perspectives. I think obviously Carolina, if you're picking 6, all right, we missed on Sam Darnold.
Yeah, for sure.
You gotta cut your losses. Could have had Justin Fields. It is what it is. But for me, I think Strong looks a lot more comfortable in the pocket. At least sure. I've only seen the Cal game.
You don't want him to go outside the pocket. I don't think he's a liability there. That's the thing. Like some people are like, oh, if he's a pocket passer, he can't do any of that. I think he can do a little bit.
Crap. Tom Brady's just fine, and he ain't moving.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think Strong is more mobile than Tom Brady. So he checks that box. It's just, can you do it on the mental side? And he's still got a little bit of work, but his floor is higher than most of the quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah. No, I totally agree.
And he does a lot of pre-snap work too, which is also pretty promising.
For me, it was just the pocket poise was he was a little antsy in the pocket. Like before pressure was even there, he was trying to get out of the pocket. And it's like, for me, it kind of reminded me a bit of Jacob Eason. There we go.
Yeah.
And I mean, that shot him all the way down to the 4th, but he looked good against California. Granted, California doesn't have like premier pass rushers, but
they do have a decent secondary. So I did like to see that.
Elijah Hicks.
Yeah,
like low key, man, he's gonna be. I like him a lot. I'm watching a lot of Pac-12 right now, a lot. All right, so we got number 7, being the Philadelphia Eagles. This is where Derek Stingley goes. It's a great pick.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, let the board come to you. And honestly, if Jalen Hurts keeps playing the way he did in week 1, I mean,
gosh, dude, I'm gonna look foolish because I've been a big Jalen Hurts denier.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's just Atlanta's that bad.
Honestly, man, you might not be far off with that. They were very bad. But, at the same time, I mean, Hurts, he took what they gave him, and he was opportunistic. So you'd like to see that. I'm going to be skeptical for a little bit longer. But, if he keeps playing this way, they can use both their first rounders on other positions. But, for this one, personally, I went with Stingley. And honestly, I mean, just playing the board, right? I mean, even if he's been a little inconsistent to start the year, still a crazy athlete. That closing speed is insane. Pretty physical at the catch point and has that instincts for contorting and kind of, molding to the football that I really like. So the ball skills are top tier. And that playmaking ability just makes him a potentially blue chip player for your defense. So that was kind of the thought process. I think Darius Slay's getting up there, and you don't have a lot of talent in that room opposite him. So get him in there, get a guy to kind of carry the torch. No,
totally agree. And like, what his biggest knocks right now are how he covered Devontae Smith and the UCLA game. Outside of that, like you said, he's a ball. I was gonna say ball maker, playmaker. Makes plays on the ball. And you see the athleticism, like in the on that Greg Dulcich touchdown, that like 77-yard touchdown. Like Stingley came opposite side of the field. Granted, it ends up not making the tackle on Dulcich, but at the goal line, I think momentum was going to take Dulcich in anyway, but still, just the ability to make that play opposite side of the field, the athleticism's just phenomenal, man. And this is a great pick for Philly, especially if Hurts works out, man. It's like, it's not like I hate Hurts, it's just I wasn't that high on him going in the draft process, so
for sure.
Not going to be that invested. Here's my boy though, Leal, going to the Raiders. Quarterback. I'm curious. I know you're playing around with quarterback in this class a little bit, so why not take one here?
You see, I don't know. Really, I'm not the biggest Derek Carr guy, honestly. But
There's not a lot of Derek Carr guys out there.
I was gonna say, right, but I do think I don't know what his contract situation is, but I don't see the Raiders moving on from him this year, honestly. Last year was a career year for him. He was the top 14 quarterback for sure, the top 16. Again, not a world beater, but I don't think John Gruden's going to move on from the guy, especially when there's pressure on him to produce, in the next 2 years for sure. You don't want to restart with a rookie quarterback when your job is on the line, right? You got to stick with the veteran. I think that's the mindset they go with. And I think, honestly, if you improve the trenches again, because when he had a good offensive line, he was dealing on some games for sure. Not an elite quarterback, but can be a good quarterback. And I think that that's the mindset you need to take this year. And on defense too. I mean, the trenches again. They didn't do enough on the interior. That was a big reason for me making this pick, because I do think Leal is good on the interior, but at the same time, Ngakoue and Crosby are good on the edge, but having another guy who can kind of rotate out there when you need him to, just more flexibility for that defense. So I love the flexibility and the upside that Leal provides. And I think if you're trying to maximize your window with Carr, not just offense, but that defense needs a lot of work too. And this is a great way to start.
Yeah. I think ideally, if you're a Raiders fan, Gruden's gone. Like I know his contract's funky. It's it was like a 10-year deal. Like
it's tough to get away from. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like I feel like you're gonna be just stuck being mediocre. And like David Carr, he's a good quarterback. Like you said, I'd put him top 15, top 16. He's a guy that can get the job done. It's just with that roster currently, if they don't move on from Gruden, they're probably gonna stick with Carr. That makes sense. But if they do, I think Derek Carr is a good bridge quarterback. If you want to go, I guess at this point with the fourth best quarterback on the board, it's not a sexy thing to hear either. So no, that totally makes sense with Leal. Yeah, they're so weak on the interior because what they have, what is it, like Quentin Jefferson, Solomon Thomas, right?
Solomon Thomas, Darius Philon.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
I'm not.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
Yeah.
All right, we got George Karlaftis going to the G-Men. And honestly, I think this is another spot you could go quarterback, but again, with 3 already off the board, you're not getting the tippity top of the class. But let us know what's up with that. What's going on?
Yeah, Karlaftis. We were talking about him a little bit before the recording, but it just kind of goes into he's kind of a freak, man. 6'4", 275, pretty explosive, pretty powerful. Had a really good freshman season. I think he had like 17 tackles for loss and 7.5 sacks. So insane production.
Like 50-some pressures. Like his pressure rate was ridiculous.
Yeah, so he is like, you don't want to leave him unblocked because he moves really well for his size. But even if you do try to block him, he has that length and that power to really, create displacement and just kind of win those matchups. So, there's not many guys that can beat him one-on-one with that amalgamation of traits. And I do think he's mobile enough in space to be not an outside linebacker. You don't want him going there all the time, but I think a really good defensive end chess piece for the Giants. If you want him to stand up, he can do that. He can kind of swerve around guys, but he also has the power, I think, to kind of rotate inside the 3 or 4 tech and kind of line up with his hand in the dirt and kind of impose his will there. So I think, again, kind of like Leal, not as versatile as Leal, but definitely projects well in that role.
Yeah. And I think that'd be good with Aziz on the outside, kind of as your true explosive guy, get to the quarterback. I mean, he actually had a pretty good game against the Broncos yesterday. Yeah. And then you got Kyle Hamilton going to the Falcons. This is kind of a no-brainer, I think, at this point with Kyle Hamilton still on the board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that for me, I was thinking about it for a second, and then I'm like, wait a minute, Kyle Hamilton's there? All right, now we can.
It's easy to forget.
We can throw in the towel. Just press that button, right? But no, I mean, yeah, a lot of people have been saying Hamilton maybe goes 2 or 3, top 3. I don't see it just with the way the NFL has viewed safeties in the past. Yep. Usually they drop down the board. I know a lot of people like Derwin James, and he went 17th overall. So it's just how it happens. It's tough. You never want to see it, but Hamilton, I think, is a better prospect. I don't think he falls outside the top 12, honestly. I think this is one of the last spots he could go. And I look at Atlanta. Dean Pease loves his versatility, and Kyle Hamilton is a versatile playmaker who can really elevate that secondary, which they definitely need after week 1. So I think Hamilton can be a really good fit for them.
Bringing up Dean Pease, I think, based on where was his last stop? Was it Tennessee, Baltimore?
I think it was Tennessee.
Tennessee. Yeah, I think ideally he wants to get as many of those back end guys, secondary. Typically he likes to have like 6 or 7 guys on the field that are like secondary in the secondary. Yeah. So yeah, I mean Hamilton, he's got the size to play linebacker. So yeah, I love the versatility, but yeah, they need
the range is really exciting.
My gosh, I know after that Florida State. Golly, he could opt out for the rest of the season after that, honestly.
Honestly, man. I mean, business decision. You're already locked into that top 16, man. Just do it.
Yeah. Just ta-ta. I'll see y'all in April. Giants, this is their pick. I think it's from the Bears. The Bears, right?
I think so. Yeah, because the Bears traded up with the Giants for Fields.
Yeah. So you got Kenyon Green going here, listing him as offensive lineman. I think everyone kind of knows why. So yeah, talk about that quite a bit.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's playing tackle so far this year. From what I saw, a little up and down. I mean, he's a good player. He's got great balance, athleticism, power. Good hands. It's just, the length. I'm not sure if he's long enough. So we'll see. But I do think he's a good player wherever he lines up. We were talking about him maybe being in that Elijah Vera Tucker mold coming out of the season. Like maybe we view him as a guy who can play at tackle and guard at a high level at both spots. I don't think he's going to be quite that high level at tackle. I think he's better on the interior, but I do think he's good at both spots. So I think for the Giants, Andrew Thomas hasn't really been panning out, and then Nate Solder had a really rough week 1 outing. So I think, having a guy who can play both spots, and if you put him on the interior, I think he'll kind of help elevate their games. So I think for the Giants, if you do stick with Daniel Jones, which, judging by the results of this mock, it's what you're going to do. You got to get that offensive line set because it just hasn't been recently.
Yeah. So so they did start Solder on the right side?
I think so. Yeah. Because I saw a rep of Von Miller toasting him.
Oh, golly, dude. Yeah. Because I was a big Matt Pert guy.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that they don't have him going there.
He's got those traits, man. They don't get him out there. I don't understand it.
Oh, it hurts me. Yeah, but no, I totally agree. That offensive line needs to play, but I think Thomas was playing better down the stretch. I didn't really watch too much of week 1. Well, this game week 1, so I can't tell you how he looked out the gate. But I think Thomas is a guy that could trend trend up.
I hope he does. It's too early to write him off. It's only his second year, right? So
yeah. So this is where it gets interesting.
Yeah,
you got Levis?
I think it's Levis. Yeah, Kentucky guy, Penn State transfer.
Yeah, tell us who he is.
I was going to say, who doesn't know? Probably a lot of people, right? So, yeah, this was the pick in the mock where I was like, all right, this is where I tear stuff up. This is where we just kind of go off book. So, but yeah, he's a fun player. He was a guy that I kind of pinpointed earlier in the summer. I was like, because everyone's trying to find the next Zach Wilson after Wilson went number 2 overall from basically unknown. And they're talking about like Phil Jerkovic or Matt Corral. And I'm like, guys, if you're going to pick the next Zach Wilson, you got to go more off book than that. Yeah. And I think Will Levis is a good candidate. He came into the season, I think, with only 101 pass attempts, right? At Penn State.
It was real low there at Penn State.
Yeah. Sean Clifford was kind of up and down last year. They gave Levis a little bit more reps, but they didn't give him the starting role. And after 2020, he transferred to Kentucky, won the job with I can't remember who he was battling, but he won the job. And he lit up UL Monroe in week 1. So he is, and you look at his traits too. He's a really good athlete. Penn State used him on a lot of design runs actually. So he's a really good athlete. That shows up. Really good arm talent, can generate velocity off platform, which I really love. But in structure too, his deep accuracy is insane. He can drop the ball into really tight buckets, and he pushes it downfield too. Like receivers don't have to stop for it. Usually he has the strength to get it into that deep third without, missing a step on his receivers. So that's really promising. He does need to respond to pressure better, but I do think he's trending up there, and he has so little experience with those high level traits. You'd like to think he can keep trending up there, but he's pretty naturally congruent mechanically, which I really like. And then just the high end traits, I think he could definitely crack round one if he keeps going. I thought last week against Missouri, because they have Ali Green and Caleb Evans in the secondary,
Tulsa transfers.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was a good test for him. He was up and down, but had good flashes. It was good enough for me to say, hey, he's still moving up.
Yeah, and I mean, he really changed how this Kentucky offense looks. Yeah. I mean, for the most part, we kind of consider them just this big run-heavy offense, and he's really opened them up. Yeah, week one was the only game that I actually caught him, because I remember when we were talking about this, I was like, okay, let me go check out the draft, and I was like, who the hell is this cat at 12?
Exactly. And here's the thing though, he's got the situation to keep moving up too, because his offensive line, he's got Dare Rosenthal, LSU transfer on one side, and then Darian Kennard on the other, and then Luke Fortner on the interior. And then his weapons too, he's got Wandale Robinson, who's been really good. So, he's definitely got enough in his toolbox.
And they got a great run game with Rodriguez there too.
Exactly. So a really well-balanced offense. I definitely think he's in the right situation to keep moving up. So we'll see, but the traits are there, man. He's a very, very fun talent.
Yeah, no, I like it. Because, I mean, for a lot of people, or a lot of people that put out draft content, they've kind of tabbed Carson Strong as the guy that'll come up, be the Zach Wilson, but it's like, oh, well, everyone's saying that. It's not really a Zach Wilson type of out of nowhere pick. Yeah. But no, I like it. I like it. When I was doing a little bit of a deep dive into his background, I was like, okay, former Penn State guy, it's big pedigree, Big 10 school. So Big 10. I'm all mixed up. I almost said Big 12. It's like, the alliance hasn't happened yet. And calm down.
Not yet. We're not there yet.
Yeah. And I like that. I think he's kind of a Ron Rivera, at least in terms of his play style. Yeet it downfield. He's
tough. He's willing to take those chances, which you would love to see. I think he's a good character guy too. I haven't.
That's good to hear.
I haven't, again, you can only figure out so much from that. I think he got voted as a captain in his first year at Kentucky. Don't quote me on that, but I think he did. I know they like him. You can definitely tell they like him with the way they interact with him on the field. So he's, I think he'll pass that test too, which is pretty good. We know teams can be kind of sticklers about that character stuff.
Yeah, I hear that. So you got Garrett Wilson going to the Cardinals. I kind of like Chris Olave better here, but you tell me, I guess. This is
a fun conversation to have, man, honestly, because I know everyone, you poll 100 people, 50 will say they like Wilson better. 50 will say they like Olave better. I'm a Wilson guy personally.
Me too. He's actually, I got him higher than Olave.
You just like the fit?
I like the fit. I know Cliff Kingsbury doesn't like throwing downfield for the most part, but I think they really are thirsty for someone that could stretch the field. Andy Isabella never really became that guy. They bring AJ Green in, but let's be honest, he's kind of, the wheels have fallen off. He's near the
Christian
end of his
Kirk
career.
Maybe a little bit more, but
I mean, honestly, he looked really good week one. I was pretty surprised, but that's kind of why I leaned to Olave, man. I was like, this is a guy that perfect, because Rondale Moore's not going to do it. He's more of this put the ball in his hands as fast as possible.
Yeah.
So that's why I like the fit better, but I do like Garrett Wilson as a better prospect until the drops. The drops have been kind of concerned the first 2 weeks with him.
I know. Yeah, I didn't expect that because, from my experience last year, he was always the guy who, one of the reasons I have him over Olave is because in those contested situations, he has really good hands and body control. He's just better. Like Olave, there was that one play this past week where it was a 50-50 ball that came toward him, and he should have, as opposed to going for the ball, he tried to flail his arms and get a call, and that's not.
In the end zone. I remember that, dude.
Yeah,
the ball hadn't even been there yet. He's already looking for the ref.
I know. It's like, bro, just try and make the play. And if you get impeded, then ask for the call, right? But no, I think Wilson is more authoritative at the catch point, in my opinion. The drops have been concerning there, but I think he'll get, with a new quarterback, I expect some chemistry issues. So, hopefully he can keep going. But even outside of that, I think, You talk about what Kingsbury likes to do. A lot of those quick outs get the ball into their playmakers in space. I think Wilson is a better run after catch threat too. I really like the explosive twitch that he has in open space. I think he's got good, he can use that space well. He can create a little bit more than Olave. And so that's why I like him in that phase too. And then if he can, shore up those drops, which I think he can, I think he has enough speed downfield. I think Olave he's going to have a little faster 40 time, but I think Wilson definitely has enough explosiveness and speed in open space to stretch the field. And he's got good zone awareness too.
Yeah.
So checks a lot of the boxes. I think he's more of a 3-level threat. You talk about short range, intermediate, and deep than Olave. And I think that's ultimately what plays into this here. But yeah, I mean, like you said, AJ Green probably doesn't have a long-term future there. Christian Kirk, Andy Isabella, they might have some turnover in there in the future. I think Wilson is a guy who can kind of help with that.
Yeah, no, I think you're 100% right. I think Garrett Wilson actually probably be the better scheme fit for Kingsbury. For me, it's just what I personally want, because I want this team to attack. Like Kyler Murray has a banger arm, man. Like let the boy throw downfield.
Exactly.
And I think that's what's getting me here. I think that's something that they should do, and this is a guy that can do it extremely well.
I just think about Murray, throwing downfield too. He throws some of those YOLO balls that, like DeAndre Hopkins, he needs to fight for those. I trust Wilson a little bit more in those situations, but, again, he's got to be consistent with his hands. That's number one. But he does have the body control, the focus at the catch point to really make that happen. So I like it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think you could go really either way. They're both really good prospects. Arguably, they're the top two receiving prospects in this class.
Splitting hairs, man. It's splitting hairs. It really is.
So Spencer Rattler's finally off the board at Pittsburgh. I'm sure Pittsburgh fans are ecstatic. Yeah,
for sure, man. I mean, I wrote this after week 1. So, it came out after week 2, and he definitely showed progression week 2. The thing that concerned me was, he was trending up coming out of last year, and then week 1 showed a lot of the concerns that had kind of popped up early last year, kind of fading back against pressure. Decision making was a little iffy, and when he was fading back against pressure, his mechanics were a little off, and then he'd miss guys high. He missed high a lot over the middle. So I don't like to see that. I also don't think he's quite the elite athlete that Malik Willis is. I don't think he's at Corral's level either. He's a decent athlete. He can create a little bit, but it's not like an elite part of his game. But the arm talent is definitely there. It's one of the top arm talents in the class when you stack them up. So I do think, if he continues to show that mechanical growth and growth with his decision making, we've seen how high Lincoln Riley quarterbacks go. I think he can go higher than this. It's just like if these concerns kind of persist, I think that could push him down the board a little bit. Him falling out of round 1 at this point, just because we talked about him in this context for so often, it doesn't really seem like a possibility, right? But I think he could drop a little bit, especially if guys like Levis and Strong are moving up. Oh, whoops. I hit my table for a second. I got a ping pong table, and my hands are moving. And
no, you're good. I'm playing around with chapstick right now, so
there we go. Yeah, exactly.
But no, I don't disagree. Like with Rattler, I think that's something that's not going to change. Like he's very Mahomes-esque in terms of he likes to drift back, and he constantly wants to make the big play, and that often leads to those turnover-worthy throws. I was hoping to see him take more of the check down this season. That Tulane game, that really wasn't the case. Yeah. He's a guy that he wants to make the big play constantly. Like, I don't mind that mindset. I actually like that. I like that type of competitiveness. But at the same time, you can't be a detriment to your team.
You like guys to take those chances when they have them, but also understand if there's a safer option that's also going to get the job done.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was something with we were talking off screen about JT Daniels. That's something I felt like he takes risk for no reason downfield.
Yeah.
Just throws into coverage. Really since that Cincinnati game. And actually we kind of saw it against Clemson. Yeah. All right. Denver, Drake Jackson. I got a little bit to say about this because I really like Jackson as a prospect.
All right. Let's hear it from you then. Let's hear what you got.
So I think in terms of movement skills, athleticism, high end, he could be near the top of this class. I think Jackson is his high end traits, his high end play top 10. It's just few and far between. And you could even look at it this year, going back to the San Jose State game, where it's like everyone's talking about the interception. Everyone's talking about that. Oh my gosh, how can he move like that? And if you look at the rest of the game, granted, he had to leave the game for a little bit. I think he only played like 20 some snaps. Like he struggled to get pressure, you know. He runs hot, he runs cold, he takes plays off. And I think there's still a lot of that there. In the Stanford game, I don't think he looked a bit more dominant than he did against San Jose State, but it didn't really say, I don't think it doesn't really say a lot. I get it. I love it. I was willing to put him in the top 10 before I did my little summer deep dive into everything. And I love his high end traits, man. But at some point, you got to have that dominant production.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if he necessarily has it. He's a guy that you really need outside of the tackle, wide 9. He doesn't really do much on the inside or have many inside moves. But I like the fit here in Denver, though, a lot, especially if Von Miller is probably out after this season.
Yeah, for sure.
And it buys him time. So
ideally, you'd want him to, be under Miller for a year or two to mentor him, because I feel like that would be really good for him. But I do think traits-wise, you talk about him starting out in space, having that explosiveness and flexibility to kind of supersede tackles. I really like that from him. I do agree. People are kind of fixating on the interception, like, wow, that's crazy. But
it was a good play.
It was a good play, but he's an edge rusher. He's supposed to get pressure and set the edge, and he hasn't been super consistent in either category quite yet. But the tools are off the charts. I agree, and that's kind of why I put him here in this fit. Mentally, he's going to have to be more consistent with that motor, because I know Vic Fangio loves those high motor guys, right? Yeah. But if he can do that, then he can be here. It's just, from a purely, stylistic fit, I really like it, but he does need to do some work. I don't think he's a top 10 guy right now. He needs to get a little bit more done before he gets to that point, but right here at 15, I think he has enough upside to warrant it.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the guys that I have a lot of trouble, like, putting on my big board at this point, just projecting.
Yeah, because where do you put him, right?
Yeah, because it's like, man, what he can be. And like you said, the motor, man, just he runs hot, he runs cold, but it's a great fit. I like the fit a lot. And then Vikings, Aidan Hutchinson, I actually like this fit a ton too.
Yeah,
I think it's a perfect complement to Danielle Hunter, and I think you even say it in here talking about Everson Griffin kind of coming back, being that dynamic duo, or at least Hutchinson being Everson Griffin-esque.
Yeah, for sure. I really like Hutchinson. I liked, not loved him in my summer evaluation, but
I was there too.
I think I underrated his athleticism, man. Because we were talking about this. We talked about this at length before this video. We saw, a long guy with good balance, good strength at the point of attack, who could, hold down the fort, set the edge and run defense, but wasn't super dynamic as a pass rusher. So far this year, we have seen. Honestly, it's been night and day, man. He has been a monster. I mean, he was giving Jackson Kirkland a ton of work. Those hands are so fast and ferocious. He's pretty twitchy. I think he's got decent torso flexibility, not an elite bend guy. He's not going to bend around the edge a ton, but, he's got the energy. He has enough burst. I really like. And then on top of that, like, as long as if you have good athletic traits and a super high-end motor like he does, then that's going to complete your game. And he goes 110% every rep. I really love that. He's 6'6", 265, I think, with great length, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So he's a fun player. I really think, at this point with that motor, he might be a round 1 lock if he keeps playing the way he has.
Yeah, man, we were talking earlier, and I was like, yeah, man, I see his game being very translatable, much like I was saying this about Rashad Weaver out of Pittsburgh, but like Weaver, didn't put on games like we've seen thus far to start the year, like Hutchinson.
You could definitely tell Weaver wasn't going to test great as an athlete. Hutchinson, now we're thinking he might test better than we expected.
Yeah, exactly. Which, man, oh man, that just blows my mind. All right. Here, I actually got to load up pick 17 through 32 real quick.
Yeah,
All
that's the
right.
page model.
Yeah,
That's the
right.
page model.
I already see my thumbnail right here. All right. So Kaiir Elam going to 17 to the Patriots. I actually love this one a lot too.
Yeah, I love the fit, man. I mean, Kaiir is a guy I would consider him in the top 10. I'm a big Kaiir fan,
I
maybe to a
agree.
fault. Yeah, I mean, I look at, you hear people talking about Booth and Stingley. I think Elam is, maybe not in that super elite tier athletically, but I still think he's a very, very good athlete. I mean, you talk about his, 6'2", 193 pounds. I think he has some of the most fluid hips in the class. I mean, he can turn on a dime. He's pretty explosive, good closing speed. The ball skills too are really good. He's a
Yep.
former receiver in high school, and it definitely shows up. I think he had 2 interceptions and like 11 pass deflections last year, and he already has a pick this year where he used his body control to come back and get the ball. I think it was an overthrow, but he used his body control and he made the play. So he's a fun player. I think he's pretty instinctive and physical too. I would like to see him become a more consistent tackler. But I do think he has a lot of the nice coverage aspects that especially Belichick would want.
Oh
You
yeah.
talk about Belichick corners. I mean, J.C. Jackson, Stephon Gilmore, Joe Williams from Vanderbilt. They're all pretty long and lanky. Maybe not, to the elite level with Jackson, but, usually they're over 6 foot, 6'1", and usually they have some athleticism to them. I think Elam definitely fits that mold, and he can be that really good boundary guy to kind of take over for Gilmore.
Yeah, no, I like Elam a lot. Typically he's whenever I do mocks, he's gone before 17. Like you said, you think he can be a top 10 as well. And
Yeah.
I totally buy that as well. But typically I'm like throwing Sauce Gardner here. Because again, length, I mean, it feels like a Belichick type of
Yeah.
quarterback. So
Yeah.
yeah, but getting Elam here would be money. And then we have the Chargers going Zach Harrison at Ohio State. How do you feel
Man,
about Zach, man?
we talked about this one too. This is before week 2. I was kind of all over this because I thought he flashed a lot against Minnesota,
He
and then
did.
against Oregon, man. I mean, I don't know. I mean, and it was a concern that really showed up for me in summer scouting too, which was he's super explosive and long. And that burst with that length can be very, very dangerous. You talk about guys using that length in conjunction with their explosiveness. He can be really, really, really dangerous as a pass rusher, but the bend is just not there. He's not flexible. We saw a lot against Oregon. He'd rush straight on. He'd get pretty good depth with his explosiveness and length, but once he gets to the apex, he can't bend over his guy. He just does not have that flexibility.
Yeah.
And then a lot of his rushes just fade out right there. I don't like to see that. He needs, if he wants to supersede that, he needs to work on refining his hand usage, because I have seen flashes of violent hand usage, but he's definitely not where he needs to be yet. So I think getting that is a way for him to kind of dilute that weakness. But right now, not having that flexibility is hurting him a lot. So I do think having, working in space a little bit in the Chargers defense, his explosiveness can be very good. It can get him around the edge. If he can make his hands more violent, I think he could learn a lot from Joey Bosa. So
Oh yeah.
I think it's a decent fit. But again, if he keeps showing this bend issue, he might end up slipping down the board a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of like when I first saw this, you had him at the Chargers. I kind of like thought maybe kick Harrison inside, have him like what they're probably going to use Jerry Tillery for, that like kind of like that 3 to 5 tech.
I do think he has the length to fit there too. I like that. That was kind of with Gregory Rousseau. That was something that I had in my mind too. Like I think he's a
Exactly,
guy you
same.
could kick inside with that straight line explosiveness and length and actually do some damage, right? I think Harrison could be a similar guy, if they use him that way. Some teams don't, but I like it, mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Play guys where they produce. Not everyone can produce on the outside.
Yeah.
Sam Howell going to the Eagles, so you don't trust Jalen Hurts.
At the time of this mock, no, I did not. We'll see what happens, but if you asked me throughout this offseason, I would have said he's probably not the guy. I mean, they used a second round pick on him. I don't see the top end traits. I like the athleticism, right? But as a thrower, I think there's a little bit of a ceiling there. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I know they have a good offensive line, and their weapons are actually proving to be pretty decent. So we'll see. We'll see. You never know. But for now, I think quarterback is still in the conversation next year. And I think Sam Howell, if he drops this far, you have to consider it. I've never been as high on Howell just because I don't think he has those elite traits to create And that's a big thing for me. You got to have those traits, but he does have a strong arm. He is mobile enough. Again, not elite, but mobile enough. I think he's pretty accurate. You like to see that. Good mechanics. Against pressure, though, that's the thing. Against pressure, it kind of erodes sometimes. And we saw that against Virginia Tech in week 1, where they had pressure, really good coverage, and he was kind of reduced to a shell. He really didn't play. Yeah. He didn't elevate his unit, and that's the big thing. Can your quarterback elevate your team? I'm not so sure if Howell can do that consistently. You also talk about his offense in North Carolina. It may not be entirely translatable. There's going to be a little bit of an adjustment.
Oh, yeah, there, so. That Mac Brown offense.
Yeah, exactly. Phil Longo. So I don't, to me, it's just other guys have the traits to elevate. Howell might not. I still think he can be a good guy, and his competitive toughness too. I got to bring that up because it shows up, man. And there were some clutch 4th down plays that he made against Virginia Tech, but the upside isn't quite there, and that's why I think it could push him down the board a little bit.
Yeah, the Virginia Tech game was definitely one I went to go back and watch because after that game, everybody and their mom wanted to just bash on Sam Howell not being the guy. He's nothing without his playmakers. And I mean, to be fair in this game, I think his offensive line did him a disservice.
It was terrible.
It was bad. I don't think and to be honest, I don't think he has really any playmakers in general on that offense. But I was looking at the picks, and really, I think one was wrestled out of the receiver's hands, I think by Waller. And I mean, that final one, it was bad. He was I think he got pushed to the outside and spun around and tried to make the throw. But
I understand the thought process, trying to get the ball out, but you got to have that situational awareness there to understand you still have another down if you go down. So
which is true. Yeah. I see that both ways. You wanted to make a play. I think they had like around 40 seconds left. They're down the 7 points. So it's like, I get it, but you got to live to play another down. Yeah, you're totally right in that. But I think he looked a lot better this week.
He did. Yeah, he did.
I mean,
we'll see. If he keeps playing like that, I think he can go up the board. Again, I don't think he has, he has good traits, just not elite. But again, that competitive toughness is really, really tantalizing, especially if you're looking for a leader of your franchise. He can definitely be that. So
I think he's a guy that doesn't come off his first read very often.
Yeah. That's another problem. Yeah, for sure.
But honestly, he's great value here. And I mean, at the end of the day, I do think we're going to be talking about Sam Howell as a first-round pick. I don't think he's going to totally like Brock Purdy his draft stock. I hate saying that, dude. I really like Brock Purdy. I like how he slings the ball, but rough.
Yeah, it's rough. The way he plays the game is great, but it's just I don't know. There's something there you can't really commit to.
So your next tackle off the board comes here to Indianapolis, which totally makes sense. It's the Ohio State tackle, Nicholas Petit Frere.
Petit Frere, yeah.
Frere, yeah. And he's starting there at left tackle since they moved Mumford inside.
Yeah. He's been good. He's been good, man. He was a guy, down the stretch last year. I kind of circled him, because there was some plays late in the year where he really impressed me. He's a former top recruit, so it comes as no surprise, right? Yeah. He's 6'5", 315, great size, great athleticism, good length. I thought he had good hand usage last year, could establish his anchor and hold it. One thing that really stood out to me was when he had a bad rep, he never came back with another bad rep. He would never stack those. He'd always kind of rebound, reset, which the trenches can be, people don't talk about how mental it is, like if you get dominated, it can be tough to recover from that sometimes, but he would get beat. He'd come back and he'd kind of rebound and reset. And I really like that, really short-term memory. I think that was one thing, no matter what sport you played, that's something that kind of pops up. Like, hey, if you make a mistake, doesn't matter. Move on to the next thing. He definitely has that. So far this year, he's been really good. Good balance, good center of gravity. Again, athletic, long. And I think, his hands are really trending up. I think that he could be a first-round guy. I was really hoping to see him in Thibodeaux this past weekend.
Yeah.
Because that would have been a matchup for the ages, man. I think if Petit Frere had beat Thibodeaux enough, he would have locked in his stack.
I mean, that was the thing with the Oregon game. A lot of the pressure was coming from the interior, from the inside. So, he was solid. He did his part.
He was. Yeah, for sure. So I'm really excited. He has all the traits. That's the thing. He's trending up. if he can keep playing the way he has been. And there'll be some good tests in Big Ten play, like against Michigan with Aidan Hutchinson, Penn State with Arnold Ebiketie. There's some good edge guys that will be good litmus tests for him. If he can keep trending up, I think he has the traits to go here and solidify that left side of the line for Indianapolis.
Yeah, I definitely think the tackle class at this point, especially after Kirkland struggling pretty hard against Hutchinson, it's kind of wide open at this point. Mm-hmm. So Dallas, you got them getting a slot corner in Daxton Hill.
Don't say that.
I know, I don't want to.
Oh, I want him to be more than that. I hope Dan Quinn uses him as more than that. Yeah, but he's an absurd athlete, and that's the thing. I think he had like a 4.32 and a 43-inch vertical out of high school, which is insane, right? Explode. And you look at the tape, he closes ground in an instant, just like that. It's insane. He moves at a different speed. Last year, there were some plays where I was like, where he was lined up at safety, reading the field, right? And it would be late. He would be late reacting, but his athleticism helps him clean up, come from behind so easily. It's just crazy. And this year,
Antoine Winfield was very similar in that manner at Minnesota in his final year.
Yeah, like kind of bailing yourself out with your physical tools.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think he did that. But here's the thing. I think Hill is seeing things a little bit faster this year, which is good. I want to see them use him in that single high safety role more often, man, because in the slot only, I like his slot ability. I don't think he should be used exclusively there. He does have fluidity, which is nice. We'll see, but I really like it. I like how physical he is in run fits too. He's not the biggest guy. He's like 6 foot 192, I think, but he's willing to get up there and run defense and clog some lanes and really use that. And so I really like that from him too. So he's trending up. I want to see more versatility from him, which he definitely has. They're just not using him the right way. So they use him in that role. I think he can boost his stock. But for Dallas, man, I think that, having him move in the slot when he needs to or rotating back to safety, having that flexibility is really good, and he can be a dynamic playmaker on top of that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I totally agree. It was a big letdown in that first week when it was like, oh, what do you mean he's played 50 snaps in the slot? What the hell?
Yeah.
Because the dude, he that's one of my favorite traits is your movement skills. Mm-hmm. It's like, can you be my center fielder? Not a lot of guys can. They have that ability.
Yeah, but I think he does. His hips, he can trigger, he can cover ground. It's all there. I hope they use him in more of that role. Because honestly, honestly, if the NFL just views you in that slot corner role, you're day 2 at best. Yeah, at that point, unfortunately. Yeah. And then you got New Orleans getting Chris Olave. This is a great pick. Yeah. I don't think there's gonna be much disagreement from here. I love. No. I don't think we need to talk about it much. We talked about him with Garrett Wilson, but we love Olave, right? And me and Ali, we go over our top 50 big boards every week, and we've kind of settled in with Wilson and Olave. Like literally they're like this. It's super, super close, splitting hairs. I think the Saints, it's exciting because the Saints offense looked really good, even with kind of a thin receiving core. Get Olave in there.
Michael Thomas too.
I know, seriously, man. So get Olave in there with Jameis Winston, testing those deep windows. Olave, a guy who can separate deep. I love that. I love that for him.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. I think this one's a bit interesting. Maybe not so much after this past week or after yesterday, but Ikem Ikwanwu. Hopefully I didn't butcher that too bad. The NC State left tackle / probably guard in the NFL. Going to Tennessee, which I first initially, because I was looking at this before the Sunday slate of games, and then Tennessee being unable to really block anybody. Yeah. I was like, okay, you got me.
Which, honestly, if I can be honest, I'm not. Ikem Ikwanwu still has a way to go in pass protection, right?
Yeah, but going to Tennessee, who cares at that point?
Exactly. They need all the help
interior, at least.
Exactly. And the way I look at it, Roger Saffold is getting older. Nate Davis is going to be due for a new contract soon. I really think that, the right way to do it, they drafted Dylan Raduns, rotate him back out to tackle, try and help him fill that need there, and get Ikwanwu on the interior, because Ikwanwu is a mauler, man. I think he's 6'4", 320. really long for his size, which you like to see, athletic. And he buries guys. He does not care. He'll throw you in the dirt. He'll move you around. He's just mean. He is mean and nasty. And I love that. I think that's a great fit for Tennessee. He definitely needs to refine his hand usage and pass protection. He doesn't always get that clean contact, which you really need, to kind of pass on your traits to utilize them efficiently. But the upside is all there. And I think, so far this year, he's been good. He's been clearing lanes for Zonovan Knight. I think that he's going to be a big riser down the board. And I think that for Tennessee, especially need and kind of identity-wise, he's a really good fit.
Yeah, man, they weren't able to get the running game going like early against Arizona, and it just messed up everything. Yeah, it was a very uninspiring effort by the Tennessee
as a Derrick Henry owner in fantasy. I was not.
Oh my gosh, me too. I was like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah. I was like, guys, come on. Oh my goodness. Like,
yeah, but I like that fit though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
on one hand, I expected it because Vrabel always tries to direct his offense through the run, and then he falls behind, and then he has to pass it, because you're behind, right? So it is what it is. But
yeah. Maybe Arthur Smith leaving, not looking so great right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also like Elam as a good fit for the Ravens too. Mm-hmm. Again, just that bury you mentality. I love that. But because I think at least consistently, I've had him going to the Ravens in my mock draft.
He seems like the type of guy that the Ravens would like.
Yeah, right. And they don't really have a need, but it was just like, man, he is a Raven, man.
Yeah.
But I like that. I like that pick now. Definitely in after Sunday. Jets. This is interesting. I like that. I like this. This is the you're gonna have to pronounce his name for me, my friend.
Eric Ezukanma.
Texas Tech. We were talking about a little bit about him beforehand because I haven't watched hardly anything of him outside of what's on Twitter. So tell us about him.
Yeah, he was a guy, when I start the summer scouting process, to get more guys, naturally you go to the stat sheet, you look at production. You don't want that to be your end-all, be-all, but you can look at it as a way to discover more guys that you hadn't watched.
It's a good starting off point.
Yeah, exactly. So he stood out to me. I watched a little bit of his 2020 and 2019 tape, and I really liked the traits, man. So I kind of wrote him down, circled him, like, hey, this is a guy who could break out this year. And sure enough, he has. I mean, I think he might be leading the NCAA. I don't know if he is anymore. He was in receiving yards out of week 1, but I mean, my hot take was if Treylon Burks, and you can see he went over Treylon Burks in this mock draft. Yeah. But if Treylon Burks is a first rounder, then Ezukanma is not far behind. He's 6'3", 220, really good size, really long guy. And you look at his contested catch reps, man, he has really good hands, Velcro hands, really good body control, uses his length well. But then on top of that too, like some guys who are 6'3", 220 are only contested catch guys. Very far from the truth for Ezukanma. He's explosive after the catch, really good contact balance, really good lateral agility. There's some highlights from week 1 and week 2 where he's bouncing off of guys, where he's taking screens to the house. Exactly. So you love to see that. I think in every phase, he has very good ability. His route running could definitely improve his tree a little bit more, but he has shown awareness of zones. I think he's flashed that route running ability. So I think he's definitely an ascending player. And for receivers, you talk about playmakers, your big slot who can get yards after catch, make those contested catches. That is exactly who Ezukanma is. I really like his fit in New York because Mike LaFleur likes to scheme guys, those open targets sometimes.
After the catch guys too.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what Ezukanma is. But at the same time, if you need him to go downfield and make a super acrobatic catch, he can do that too. So I think that he's been more consistent than Burks so far this year, and he has the high-end traits, same as Burks. So I don't think it's out of the question. I really think he's going to – if he can keep producing the way he has, he's a top-end talent in every phase.
Yeah, just to talk about Burks real quick, because this week 1, like, he didn't look right. Apparently he was a kind of a game-time decision. He was coming into he was held out of practice that whole week.
Yeah.
I don't know what specifically, but week 2 wasn't all that much better either. But they really didn't need to utilize him at all. But yeah, no, he is currently leading in receiving yards. So you are correct, my man. By the way, I don't know, have you been keeping up with the game at all, the Monday night game?
A little bit, because I had some fantasy implications. I saw the Raiders won, right?
Yeah, in overtime. Because when
damn.
I went, I was like, oh, let's go see what the receiving stats are. That, bam, right on ESPN's page. And I was like, the flip? Yeah, because I got Lamar on like my super flex team, so I had to go check that out. Dude, that's cool, man. I like to hear that because a lot of people's feeling towards this receiving class is that it's not good because we've kind of been spoiled over the last couple of seasons. But I think it's a lot different. You're dealing with a lot of guys with a lot more size in this class.
Yeah.
And I mean, Eric, I'm just going to call him Eric until I get his name down.
His nickname is Easy E, I think.
Easy E. Oh, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. But yeah, no, he definitely rings true that 6'3", 220. I think Treylon Burks, he's kind of in the same mold, like a 6'4", 6'5", 230, I think.
They're in that similar mold. So for me, I look at it as, Izukanma has honestly been more dynamic and more consistent with his hands so far this year. So you look at that and
I like that you can't solely just be a contested catch guy. At least for me, you got to do a little bit more.
We've seen those guys flame out all the time. I mean, Arcega Whiteside, Kelvin Harmon, I know a lot of guys liked, and he kind of, which I mean, he dealt with injuries in the NFL too, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, that cuts deep though. I was pretty high on him.
Yeah, for sure. If you have the size, you can't just be a contested catch guy. You have to be a run after catch guy. And Izukanma, he's honestly great in both phases. Like there's not a lot of bad I can say about him. Maybe needs to refine his route tree, but aside from that, I mean, so far he's been putting out lights out film.
But I mean, again, that's something you could work around in the NFL. You look at guys like Debo Samuel. You look at guys like DK Metcalf, who came in, was just kind of a physical specimen with like what he could run maybe 2 or 3 routes.
Yeah.
But
you just get a playmaker and get him the ball, and I think Izukanma, if he can make those plays, it's going to be really easy to get him the ball and get production out of it.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Especially because it's kind of wide open after Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave. Then you got another cat. I actually had to check him out today. Going to the Browns, Colby Wooden at Auburn.
Yeah. So this was an interesting one. I kind of just kind of threw it out there just because he does have that upside, I think. But he's an interesting guy. I think he's like 6'5", 278. So, getting close to that tweener range, but he's really explosive and athletic, I think, and he's got good length. And I know that the Browns were talking about using Clowney and Garrett a little bit more in the interior situations, a little more flexible on that front. I think Wooden is the exact perfect fit for that kind of role where he can play inside and his explosiveness is a big mismatch. But at the same time, outside, he has the length and power to really channel his traits and be a disruptive guy too. So I think, Clowney on a 1-year deal, if you're looking for a guy to replace him in this class, I do think that Wooden has the size and athleticism to be that guy. It's kind of a projection, but he's been off to a good start this year. So, I think we can run with
that Auburn in general. I was about to say offense, but I'm Derek Hall, the edge over there at Auburn, man. He's been
good too.
Ooh.
Yeah.
This is a good year. But yeah, no, I can't wait to go watch Wooden because actually Hall was a guy that I watched during the summer that I was like, oh, this is definitely going to be kind of like among the many probably breakout edge rushers in this class.
Yeah. I know PFN's chief draft analyst, Tony Pauline, when he was talking about Auburn in a podcast earlier, he was like, Colby Wooden's got, he's probably a day 2 guy right now, but he has round 1 upside. And,
is he only a redshirt sophomore or do you know?
I'm blanking on it right now.
Me too. I was trying to remember. I think he's somewhere in that 3-year range. He might be a true junior or redshirt sophomore. Because I think he's a guy that definitely might not have to come out this season. But hot start, man. Hot start. You got Treylon Burks. So here he comes off the board against Detroit for Detroit. I don't disagree with wide receiver. I'm just curious. Where's Drake London? Because he's kind of my guy actually.
Drake London is round 2. Now he could go round 1. I had him go to the Chargers in round 2, which I think is a great fit for him. So I'm on board with that for sure. But Burks, I don't know. And part of the reason I wanted to fit Burks into the mock, there is a cosmetic element where, you see his name and then you go back and see Ezukanma and you're like, wait a minute, Ezukanma went over Burks, right? But, also I do like Burks for the Lions. I know they like speed and size and Tyrell Williams, his signing was kind of a big follow of that philosophy.
Yeah,
And I think Burks
even Pearman or
yeah, Perryman
who
for
didn't
sure.
even
I mean,
make
and
the
that didn't
roster.
work out, but he has that too for sure. But I think Burks has that size speed combination that they'd be looking for. He does have to kind of get more consistent with his hands down the line, which I think will happen. We can kind of hopefully expect that progression, but the traits are just really, really inspiring. We talk about his contested catch ability. There's some really good flashes of contorting for the ball and having that focus to haul in those sideline passes in really tight spaces. And so I like that. And then he's got some run after catch ability too. So not as consistent as Izukanma so far this year, but I still think the traits warrant round one consideration.
Yeah, I mean, Burks in 2019 was actually like almost exclusively a vertical threat. Well, I say threat, vertical target. And then they kind of opened up a little bit more for him in 2020. And yeah, hopefully he comes out big, man. I'm a big fan of Burks, man. Initially, I was thinking about putting him at 1 just because I just love that size, that freaky size and speed. But it's really tough to stack him against the Ohio State receivers.
The separation is big, and I think Wilson and Olave are both better there right now. But Burks is a good athlete. He can get there for sure.
Yeah, I got a bone to pick with this Miami pick. You go running back, and we kind of already exchanged pleasantries with how we feel about running backs. But you went with actually one of my least favorite running back prospects in the class, and Kaiir Williams.
I thought I dodged the bullet with C.J. Verdell, and I just stepped into another hole. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you talk about it, and then
tell me your thoughts. Tell me your thoughts, because he's a guy that I like. I don't love him, honestly. I don't love him. This was just kind of getting another name out there. And, I know Breece Hall. Breece Hall's the guy, without the offensive line. I do love Breece Hall's creation ability and vision, but he doesn't have great contact balance, honestly. With that 6'1", 215 frame, you would expect it. I don't think he has great contact balance working against contact. So that was kind of my thing here. And then Isaiah Spiller was a guy that I wanted to go here, but Kaiir Williams, I think one of the biggest things for me was showing more ability as a receiver this year, which he's definitely shown. But as a runner, I agree. I don't think he's there. What are your thoughts on it?
All right, so this is it for me, because I feel like he is Demetric Felton, just bigger and way more athletic. But if you're gonna be a receiving back, you got to have the ball skills. I don't think he has ball skills. He has that 10% drop rate, at least last year. The fumbles, he had like 5 fumbles last year too. I think he can create definitely with the ball in his hands. Like we saw that against Florida State. You saw that all last year. It's just, can you get the ball in his hands? Where are these ball skills? Again, and you're a running back. Like I have all these mixed emotions, when it comes to like the Dolphins picking the first round. But like me personally, I want to go and run it back at all. And I get it. You said you wanted to highlight a running back, but
yeah, and here's the thing, like I know they like Myles Gaskin. I know that Jared Dokes is a guy that I'm kind of hoping gets some increased role down the line. I know he tested really well for sure. So, if I were to do the mock again, I probably would go offensive line, because honestly, I mean, or maybe, there you could go there, you could go some other spots too. But, I wanted to highlight a guy, but I do agree. Kaiir Williams definitely needs to show more consistency in that realm. I also don't think he has elite contact balance either, which is kind of concerning. He's a little bit, I think he's 5'9", 195. So he's definitely more of that creationary back who, is really explosive, really twitchy, really energetic. Also a really good pass blocker, which I love. But, first round probably isn't the way to go for him.
I mean, regardless, first round, like how, man, I don't know. I think he's just a guy I dislike. Like if you're gonna be my receiving back, I need those ball skills, and I just don't think he has those.
Yeah, and I hope he continues to show it this year, because I do like what he's done as a receiver so far. But I agree. If you're gonna be a receiver, you like it's not just getting the ball in your hands. You have to sometimes do some work to get it there. You can't just be dump offs. And like Najee Harris last year, we know there were some reps where he would actually wheel route downfield, and he's actually contorting for the ball and actually making a receiver play. You'd like to see that. We haven't really seen that
wheel route yet at the pylon, dude. That was just ridiculous. I think it was either against LSU or South Carolina.
I think I remember that. Yeah. At that point, I was like, yeah, he's RB1. It's not close. You know? So.
And I really liked Travis Etienne, so like that hurt me a lot.
Yeah.
I think another running back. Oh my gosh, I think I just lost him. No, I was talking about. Oh, okay, I remember. So this is a bad take on my part. Maybe, potentially, we won't know. I was a big fan of Kenny McIntosh, right?
The Georgia guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Lo and behold, he is like the third back on the depth chart at this point. He like saw little to no usage. So it's like, I don't think it's a bad take necessarily. It's just a guy that might not see, reps. But I had him 3 overall, like third, not overall, but third on my running back rankings. So, I mean, that just goes to show you like,
it's a crapshoot every year. I mean,
exactly.
You never really know for sure.
So
like Kyron Williams.
I can't even really like blast you on Kyron. At least he sees the field.
I mean, I know, but I gotta be honest. I feel a little disingenuous because we were talking about hey, running backs in round 1, no way before this, and then here I go with a running back in round 1. I feel terrible.
But it makes sense though, like because I know a lot of people want to at least showcase, like I've even seen like tight ends. I don't think there's a first round tight end right now in this class, but some people want to showcase it.
Yeah, for the mock draft, it's not just who you value there. It's also like kind of showing people different possibilities.
Yeah, it's to really open you up to like prospects you may not have heard otherwise. And that's the beauty of a 7-rounder,
Yeah, exactly.
You could do a lot with it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, enough with the running backs. I actually really like this pick for the Ravens. Devin Lloyd. Like, dude. Oh my goodness. Lloyd.
That first linebacker off the board in this one. But honestly, I think he's enough of an athlete for sure. He's definitely in that, I think, 75 to 80 percentile range as an athlete, 6'3", 235, good explosiveness, really good instincts. And we saw that in week 1. I mean, he's a playmaker. He just makes plays, man. I think he had like 12 tackles, an interception, and a forced fumble or something.
Yeah, and the interception was nice. It was off a tip, and he just dives for it. Yeah, that was the thing. I was like, man, I need to see ball skills from him. And I was like, okay.
It's all right. You got it. We got it for sure. Yeah. No, he's a smart player too. A play that stood out to me, summer scouting was he was coming onto the edge and he noticed something in the protection and he's like, hey, to the defensive lineman, he's like, hey, slide over for a sec so he could go onto the edge. And then they snapped the ball and he had a free rush, turns out, and got right in the backfield for a 3-yard loss. So he has some good pre-snap recognition too. He's a smart guy, good leader. I really think he has a lot of the traits. I think that the Ravens particularly would really like him. And aside Patrick Queen, I think that can be a really dangerous combo.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I don't think Malik Harrison is it there for him.
Yeah.
And I don't even think he's starting there next to Queen. I think they still got Fort, right?
Maybe? I think he might have got out with an injury.
Maybe. Okay.
Yeah. I haven't been keeping tabs. I just know the Ravens have been decimated by injuries. So.
Yeah. I mean, dude, this linebacker class is kind of fun because like Christian Harris, I think definitely is a great athlete. Yeah. I would say he's a better athlete than Lloyd, but man, Lloyd again, he has the processor. Yeah. By comparison to a guy like Harris.
And that's what tips the scales because I know the next pick is the Packers taking Christian Harris, right?
Oh, spoiler.
Yeah, my bad.
I was kind of hoping you put Drake London there. I'm not going to
lie. That'll be next time. I'll put that on the list.
He's just my guy, man. I'm sorry.
Next time, I got my checklist for my next mock draft is Drake London for the Packers and CJ Verdell to the Dolphins around 1.
I mean, dude, and I like Lloyd because he is pretty explosive. The dude gets out to the flats like stupid quick and yeah, I mean, you don't necessarily need to be like I know me and you are kind of share this personally, like with when it comes to the linebackers, we really value coverage. We like these kind of like these very stupid athletic guys, sometimes to our detriment.
Yeah,
I mean, to be fair.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely kind of a double-sided sword or whatever.
Two-edged sword. I got you.
There we go. God, I'm a writer and I couldn't figure that out. But it's
a lot better than I do, so that's why I talk. But yeah, you got again. We could go over Christian Harris to the Packers because honestly, they don't have a guy in the middle there. You kind of like I kind of assumed that Kamal Martin would have been a guy they got out of Minnesota, I think a couple of years ago, would have been a guy maybe to take the next step because they really like those. I think they led the league in terms of how often they go to their sub package, whether it be nickel or dime. So I assumed they'd want like kind of like really good athlete, and that's kind of what Kamal Martin was. And then he gets cut, and I guess Chris Harris is Chris not Harris, but
Chris
Barnes,
I think.
yeah,
and
is the guy there who I'm
or whatever.
Yeah, and it's like, not like, not really. You know, if you're gonna run sub package a lot, you got to have a guy that can be stupid athletic.
Yeah,
and I actually like Christian Harris. I don't think he's like stupid strong. I think he's really good at coming downhill with like a lot of steam, and using a lot of his momentum to kind of stack blockers.
For sure. And when you have that momentum, you don't really need to be super strong.
Exactly.
You can cultivate a little bit of leverage and power with that. You know, that's what you see with edge rushers, having that length. You know, it's kind of like when you're using a hammer and you slide your hand down to the very end of the handle, you can get more power. You know, if your hand is like right next to the head, then you got more accuracy, but you can't get that power. So having that length, as long as even if you're not the strongest guy, you can use it. And I think Harris, with the same way, with his energy and his play speed, he's definitely twitchy, aggressive, and you like to see that. And he's a good athlete on top of that. I think we've seen a little bit of growth from him this year, but we want to see it track over the rest of the season for sure.
Yeah. We were talking earlier because actually I did a watch along with the Miami Alabama game, and I was very impressed at how him and Henry Tutu. Tata.
We'll go with it.
Dude. But yeah, I was impressed with how, just not how they were playing around the line, but how they were in coverage.
Yeah.
Too, because obviously they're stupid athletic, so they're going to be fine in man, but it definitely looked like Harris felt a lot better dropping back in zone next to Henry, opposed than he was with Dylan Moses, who was kind of a wreck last year in coverage.
For sure. I mean, Harris definitely last year, if you could make a gripe, it would be the eyes and the recognition. It wasn't quite up to speed, but it looks like he's reading his keys a little bit better with To'o. I think that's how you say it, To'o, next to him.
It's a lot better than what I got going on.
Yeah, so we'll see. But, he's trending up. I think if he keeps playing this way, he could definitely he could be the first linebacker off the board. I just think Devin Lloyd is also a guy that needs to be in that discussion.
Yeah. I think, both those guys, him and Harris, are I think undoubtedly the head of the pack here at linebacker.
I wanted it to be DeMarvion Overshown, but like we talked about, it hasn't.
I wanted it to be
lead.
Mike Jones. Mike Jones can't even get on the field. So, oh well.
That's draft evaluation for you.
Yeah, exactly. Trent McDuffie's a great pick for Buffalo, by the way. I also like him pairing up with as maybe a pick for the Jets, but I like him in both these schemes.
I love McDuffie, man. I mean, if this is the thing. He's buried in this corner class. I mean, you got Booth, you got Stingley, you got Elam. I mean, he really should not be CB4, but he is. And it's a travesty because he's a really good player. I mean, explosive is all get up. But also, he doesn't just play fast, he thinks fast too. Every step of his career, he's had that good reaction, that good, processing ability. I know in high school, he transferred to, I think, St. John Bosco, which they're known for their development. And in his very first year there, he was taking up slot duties and moving around the field, which, being versatile, which is pretty impressive. And then he was a full-time starter as a true freshman for Washington, moving around a little bit. And now, it speaks for itself. He's a smart guy, athletic guy, super fluid. The only thing for me that he doesn't quite have that other guys have is those ball skills, the catch point, which I think he's flashed it. He just doesn't quite have that production, So
I don't think he's a physical guy.
No, he's not. He's that fluid finesse guy who's going to stick to your hip, and make it really tough for you to get separation. I want him to convert on that more, but I do think having that foundation in itself, he's not going to get thrown out a lot because of that.
Yeah, no, I think honestly, man, this Washington defense is. I think they have some good players there in the secondary in general. I really like their slot guy. My gosh, dude, his name's
is it Kyler Gordon?
No. He plays on the outside. It's this guy. He transferred from Oklahoma. It's Radley Hiles.
Oh, Brendan Radley Hines.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I really like. I've been trying to monitor him the last couple of weeks. I really like how, how he's played. I really feel like this defense has been chilled out because their offense is trash, man. Oh my gosh.
Seriously.
Golly, dude.
It's rough.
Yeah, that Montana game was really eye-opening because I was like, how did they get lose to Montana? I go back and I watch a little bit. I was like, my gosh, dude, they have like nothing offensively.
I know. I got to go back and look at the offensive line on that game because I was a little concerned by that. Like I thought, they'd at least be able to get something going.
I think pass blocking it was fine. I think it was the left side was fine that game against Montana. Dude, their quarterback doesn't know
he's bad.
Yeah, he's bad. I think it's just because he's inexperienced, but it's unfortunate.
And they have a 5-star guy, Sam Horde, behind him.
Oh, really?
Why not just start him, right? But I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll see growth, but I mean, college football, if you're Washington, you lose to Montana. That's kind of...
it wasn't a good sign going into that Michigan game. I'll say that.
For sure.
I actually had Washington as a team that I had like outside my top 25, but I thought they were like kind of on the verge there. Mm-hmm. But woof.
Yeah, for sure.
I kind of wanted to actually talk about this prospect real quick. I don't know if you checked him out. Zion.
Tupelo Fatui.
Yes, thank you. I knew I was going to mess his name up. Guaranteed. I actually really like him. I liked him a lot. It was unfortunate the injury.
Yeah.
But I think I had him right before because I typically do I'll do my mocks right after the draft, right? Mm-hmm. My first early mock, and he was my edge 3 or 4. Yeah. I don't know. Have you watched him at all?
Yeah, I did a report on him actually.
Did you? Nice.
Really,
you have a lot of reports though, to be fair. So if I miss one, my bad.
Yeah, and I have 7 Washington guys too. So I did Trent McDuffie. That was a fun one, man. But Tupelo Fatui was pretty fun too. I mean, he's got an unorthodox body type. I think he's 6'3", 280, somewhere around there. And they use him as an outside linebacker.
Weird, right?
Really weird.
It's
a stand-up guy.
Total opposite of how Joe Tryon. They use them in a similar manner, but they kind of have total opposite skill sets. Yeah,
for sure. I think he had good explosiveness for sure. That length is really nice. I think he had some violent hands.
Yeah, that's what I like. I like the power and the violence. Yeah,
for sure. I think he translates a little better inside. Maybe not all the way inside.
Maybe 3-4 end.
Yeah, for sure. Something like that. Yeah, and you can move him around, which is nice. I just think he translates a little better there. But the injury was unfortunate, and I want to see him come back from it because Achilles, I think it was in Achilles, right?
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, sometimes that saps your explosiveness, which sucks because he comes off the line with a lot of heat. We'll see. I think I read somewhere that he was trying to play at some point this season.
Yeah,
which is
that's why I brought him up, and I was gonna say because even the coach expects him to come back at some point this year.
That's insane, man. I mean, good for him, right? I mean, the amount of work it takes to come back that quickly from an Achilles is just insane. I hope he comes back in his full speed.
I know. I'm kind of curious if it's I want to come back so I could come out.
Yeah.
Of this class, or if it's just wanted to be there for your team and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure.
Regardless, I think he shouldn't come out this year just because it's not enough, He doesn't have enough film on him because they just had the 4 games last season, I think.
Yeah, and there's so many guys rising this year.
Yeah, it's a very edge-heavy class, so it's I just don't. He's a player I like a lot that I don't want to get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, for sure. Same here. I like him.
Yeah, that was fun. You got Bo Nix at 31. This must have just slipped my mind.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, he's gonna bring that up at some point. I was thinking of, speaking of woof, let's go to pick 31. We got Bo Nix. No, but here, okay. I want to start a dialogue here because I don't think he's a first rounder right now. Not even close.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people do.
Yeah, for sure. But here's the thing. I don't. He's kind of a caricature on the college football stage, right? I mean, everyone kind of talks about, Bo Nix, he sucks, and I got assigned his player profile And this year, one thing I've been trying to do is, tune out majority perceptions and just see what I see, right? And so, but, admittedly, coming into that watch, I was like, all right, he's going to suck. We can just get this over with, right? And, he did kind of, there were a lot of mistakes, granted. But I saw...
funny. I came in thinking, here, he's going to suck. And, I started watching and he kind of sucked.
Exactly. But no, here's the thing. There was one roadblock to growth. And I saw a lot of upside with him.
Yeah.
He makes some crazy off-platform throws. He's got good arm elasticity, a really strong arm too. I think he's a good athlete. The high upside traits are there. It's just we never quite get to see him work in structure because he would leave clean pockets all the time. I talked to my guy Ollie at PFN. I was like, all right, I'm here for a holiday like Groundhog Day, but instead of the groundhog being afraid of its own shadow, it's Bo Nix afraid of clean pockets. Like he just rolls out all the time and he just implodes plays unnecessarily. Now, a lot of times he does face pressure too, but we never get to see him work in structure because he just doesn't stay in the pocket long enough, and when he's out in the pocket, he can make really good tight window throws off platform, which is really impressive to me. But we need to see him work more consistently in structure more, so that was something I was really looking forward to seeing this year. Against Akron, we saw it for sure, which granted, Akron, okay, a bad team. But, we did see him stay in the pocket a little bit more, go through his progressions. When he stays in structure, I don't think he's bad in structure. I think if he has good mechanics, keeps himself in rhythm, he has good accuracy. And Corey Kinnan, who I think does some work with Blue Chip and Rise and Draft, but he was doing some charting, and Bo Nix has actually charted pretty well so far this year from an accuracy standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard great things about him this season. This season we're like 2 games deep.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember who they just played this week, but I heard it was good.
Alabama State, I think.
Oh no. Well,
yeah, which
who would have thought?
this week is going to be the big test for Bo Nix. He's playing Penn State, and they have a lot of talent on defense for
How
sure.
do you feel about those corners, by the way, at a Penn State?
Joey Porter and Tariq Castro-Fields.
Yeah.
I like Fields a little bit better than Porter right now. I think Porter's a little more upside, but hasn't really realized it yet. So
okay, I haven't really checked out those guys out yet myself. So.
I like Jaquan Brisker, their safety.
Oh, everyone likes Brisker.
I think,
he's like Adrian Amos light, man.
Yeah, exactly. But going back to Nix, I think the one thing that to me the big roadblock was his respondence to pressure. The way he responds to pressure. If he can improve that, because I think. Also a lot of his inaccuracy from past tapes, what I saw, it's different when a guy is naturally inaccurate, but a lot of it was just, he would rush his mechanics because of pressure coming. If he can stay in rhythm and improve his poise and actually stand in and stay in rhythm, I think he can be a good player, and we've seen a little bit of that this year. He's had touch, he's had accuracy. We still need to see it against better competition for sure. And I would not pick him in the first round if the season ended today. I might not even pick him on day 2. But I just wanted to get it out there. Like if he can reach his full potential, then he has this early round upside. And especially for a team like Tampa Bay, they have that great offensive line. They don't have to start him right away. And I think Kyle Trask, they drafted him in round 2, but he doesn't have much upside. Bo Nix at least has physical upside. And I wanted to kind of
said earlier, he's not a statue in the pocket.
Yeah, exactly.
He's actually allergic to the pocket.
Exactly. He's just allergic to he never stays in the pocket. So how can he be a statue in there? But I think he's a great athlete with really natural ability off script. There's a lot of volatility there, but there's also a lot of upside. And if I had a choice to say, Bo Nix is bad, we can table him, or actually look at him and see why he's bad and where he can improve, that's what I would rather do. And I do think there's some upside that can be unearthed, and especially with Brian Harsin, who has a very good track record at Boise State.
I think that's a big thing was the coaching change.
Yeah, for sure. I think this offense definitely fits Nix better. He's looked more comfortable. Penn State is the big test. And this might not age very well if he doesn't play there against them very well. But
I mean, I think it's still important though to see it even in these cupcake matchups that
execution is execution.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah, like against Akron, there was one play where he started off his progressions on the right side of the field, a deep curl on the sideline, and there's an underneath defender kind of sneaking into that lane. I think last year he might try and force that throw because the pocket was starting to collapse, but he didn't do that. He immediately worked the seam And right when he found his open guy in the seam, he fired a laser for a touchdown. So I think that when he stays in structure, he can actually process pretty well. It's just a matter of staying in structure and actually staying poised and not, completely self-destructing them before they start,
Oh, yeah. He's not, is he actually, does he got another year of eligibility? I think he does.
He's a junior. He's a junior, so he could stay for his senior season if he really wanted to.
Because I think that's something that definitely he could do.
Yeah. Just because, if he needs more growth, I could definitely see it. And I do think that's entirely possible because I'll be honest, I do expect a little bit of a rough outing against Penn State. Like I'd want him to progress for sure. I think he has the upside, but we just haven't seen that tune up against top end competition. So I think I
totally agree when it comes to the upside. Because I think that's kind of been the big joke is this guy with the big arm, big upside. Oh man, who was the cat out of Arkansas last year?
Felipe Franks.
Yeah, the former Florida guy. I think a lot of people kind of saw Nick says that.
Yeah, I think Nick's is better mentally, honestly. Franks would not.
Franks would force it wherever he wanted, and he pitched the same type of ball every time.
Yep.
It's okay, you're there in the flats, 100-mile-per-hour fastball. There you go.
Exactly.
Enjoy.
Yep. Nick's at least has shown, he can use touch. Last week on a great touchdown pass, he used touch. So, he can adjust that trajectory, really good ball placement at times. It's just kind of tying it all together. And I think the one thing blocking him is the way he responds to pressure. If he can be more consistent there and be more proactive and keeping plays, afloat, then he can be good. It's just a matter of can he do that? And it's a big step. Some guys don't take it, but we'll see.
Yeah, how do you feel about his playmakers this year at wide? Because he lost a lot of guys last year.
Yeah, he has one guy. I can't remember his name. I think it was a transfer who played really well last week. Yeah, he definitely doesn't have a lot for sure. And the offensive line isn't great. So I think Will Levis, you talk about SEC quarterbacks on the rise, I think Levis is definitely in a better situation to elevate his game.
And he doesn't have the bad stigma from,
Yeah, exactly. Nick has that stigma where, he sucks. He's college football's pinata. So you kind of look at that. It's tough to, talk about him in this light. He does have potential. I'm going to look up the new receiver that they have because I think he had 2 touchdowns last week. But
yeah, because they lost the burner
Schwartz.
Yeah, and then Seth Williams.
They do have Demetrius Robertson is his name, which he's been pretty good so far. This
is a
year.
Transfer?
I think so. He was a graduate transfer, played 3 seasons at Georgia.
Oh.
Yeah, so interesting.
That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so the cupboard isn't bare there. Levis definitely has a better situation, and he doesn't have that negative stigma working against him. So, we'll see.
Yeah, because, honestly, that was actually some stuff with Malik Willis. It was this is the guy that couldn't beat out Bo Nix. Mm-hmm. That stigma followed Willis. Yeah. It's this guy had to transfer because of Nix. Oh boy.
Yeah.
But no, I like
Nix
that.
is actually and for the mock draft, it's just again, I wouldn't do it right now, but it's just projected.
At this point we're exploring. We really don't know nothing right now. Mm-hmm. So.
Yep.
But then you finish this off with a guy I haven't even looked at either. Jordan Wright. Going to the Chiefs out of Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky edge rusher. Definitely another projection, right? Just kind of having fun with it. And they have another guy who Jack Borowski informed me of, JJ Weaver, today. And I was looking at him, and he's a nice guy too. But Jordan Wright is, I think he's 6'5", 233. A little underweight for sure. But his first step, man, is explosive.
So does he traditionally play the edge in that defense?
It's interesting. He's kind of that Josh Allen guy.
Yeah, because they used
OLB.
Who was I think it was Watson last year, something Watson. Kind of like that. Golly, dude, this is gonna bug me.
I can't remember. I can't remember. I just know, guys like Josh Allen, he played a lot of off ball, a surprising amount of off ball, and I think Wright does that too. He's kind of that outside linebacker.
That was kind of the first thing I was trying, I thought of. I was okay, at that size, I wonder if he does this off ball slash.
Yeah, he is. And with his production, you can tell too. He produces all across the board. But yeah, I think on the edge is where he's going to have his home at the next level. And he could, like if he's going to be that off ball guy, the Chiefs, it's not a great fit for him. But if the Chiefs want a guy on the edge with a insane first step and really good length too, I think his frame could pick up a few more pounds and maybe get to 250. And at that point, he's really long, really explosive. And I think Weaver is a little bit more twitchy, faster hands, but I definitely think Wright can get there. And the explosiveness and length definitely shows up. He had a really nice sack, I think in week 1 for sure, where he was just, steered around the edge, really just moving at a different speed, So if he goes to his full potential, he could definitely go this high. But there's like almost a half dozen guys who you could say that for in the same spot. So it's tough for sure. But he's explosive and long, always a good combo.
Oh yeah. Jamar Watson. It's the cat I was thinking of.
Jamar Watson. All right.
Yeah, he was like an early eval for me in for the 2021 draft. Mm-hmm. So, and I didn't like him. I was like, this guy, he was like more of an opportunist type of pass rusher. Mm-hmm. And I'm typically kind of like low on those type of guys. Didn't really have the explosiveness, but regardless, undrafted free agent, we don't need to talk about him. The only thing I would say with this is with just the Chiefs and what Spagnuolo likes. He likes those big athletic guys. I mean, so much so that, they moved Chris Jones to edge. Granted, it's probably more so that they really couldn't get consistent pressure out there on the edge.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
But
yeah, I just think about it's weird that the mold that they like is weird because like you say they're like the big guys and then they take Mike Dana who's like 6'2", 260.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. You always try projecting on, oh man, typically they like this, and then it's like, okay, well, I don't know why the hell they would get someone like that. Okay.
Sometimes teams just like different flavors in their edge rushing core, I guess. Like you got the explosive guy, you got the big heavy-handed guy, you got the small, twitchy, energetic guy. I don't know. Maybe that's how
and honestly, it goes from position to position because like back when the Cardinals drafted Byron Murphy, I was just like, that does not feel like a scheme fit whatsoever, like for what they typically like to do in coverage. And they've kind of made it work because they kind of like they started him in the slot where I was like, oh, well, I don't like that. It was like my corner won that class. So I was like, oh. But they Daxton Hilled him, so.
Yeah. But never Daxton Hill guy. Never do it.
Oh, dude, that made me a little sad.
This past week though, I think he was covering Julio a lot, right? And he actually played pretty well.
Oh, Byron. I was like, Daxton Hill?
No, not Daxton Hill. Nah.
No, because he's playing exclusively on the outside. Almost like kind of feels like necessity because they really have no one at corner.
Exactly.
But he played pretty well on the outside. Just a couple of, actually more than a couple, few guys I want to kind of bring up that we saw on day 2 and day 3 in your mock. Of course, I'm going to leave it in the description below if you want to check out the full thing. But some guys I kind of want to like touch up on, like Linderbaum, not in the first round. That's a kind of a shot at me. I get it. But
he was in the first pick out of the first round. Come on.
I mean, it is the offensive interior. So, those guys typically don't get a lot of love. It's kind of like the safety position, the first round.
Creed Humphrey dropping to the bottom of round 2. I mean, that was insane.
Yeah, a lot of people pegged him as a first rounder. I did. I felt better about him actually in that range. Mm-hmm. But yeah. We kind of talked about Jordan Davis a little bit off screen because I'm not typically that high on him. Tell me what you like about him.
Yeah, it's really the size athleticism combo.
He's imposing, dude.
Honestly, he's got some room to work, but I really think sometimes those guys who are like 6'6", 320, 330, they can't really move. Sometimes they're kind of plodding. Not the case with Davis. He's explosive. I think he's really, really, a lot more free flowing in open space than you would expect for a guy that size. And he's been a game wrecker so far this year. Heavy hands, violent hands. I really like what I've seen from him. If he keeps producing this much, he could be a pretty versatile interior guy, especially for a team like, I think Jacksonville is the team that took him in this mock, right?
Oh man, I should have scrolled. Yes, you're correct.
Yes, they need that interior presence, and especially with their hybrid scheme, having a guy who can line up in multiple spots. I think he's a guy who can fit that if he reaches his full potential. Yeah,
and that's the thing. He kind of has the luxury because when we were talking, I kind of like brought up Tyler Shelvin, there we go, at LSU, and he ended up opting out. He was a guy that was like stupid athletic for being, I think he was like 340 or 350, but he was stupid athletic, and we kind of saw bits and pieces of him potentially being a guy that could disrupt as a pass rusher, but he decided to opt out, so we never got that. That's kind of what we're getting right now with Jordan Davis, because that was my biggest question. I don't think he was someone that could consistently be a disruptor in the passing game, and that's kind of a big thing for me. I feel like if you want to get a solid run stuffer, you could look to day 3, but I think we're definitely seeing that, especially after the Clemson game. Granted, the offensive line,
Yeah.
R.I.P. We talked a lot about Sean Ryan too, off screen. Like, yeah, DTR, man, he screwed him, dude. He screwed him in that LSU matchup.
Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, Sean Ryan's a good player. I mean, when I scouted him in the offseason, I was like, I'd heard a lot of people putting him in round 1 mocks, and I was like, all right, what's the deal here? And I look at him, man, and athletic, powerful, mauler. I mean, he checks all the boxes. I mean, he's not the longest guy, but I don't think he needs to be. No. I think he's just a really good player. And he's been a big reason that Zach Charbonnet has been going off.
Oh yeah, dude. So. I think he moves pretty darn well too. Because like you said, I saw him in a first round mock. And so the first game I went to was the Oregon game last year where he faced off against Kayvon Thibodeaux. And Thibodeaux. I always fluctuate between Thibodeaux and Thibodeaux. I don't know why. Yeah. But he played him pretty freaking well. Like, oh my goodness. Like, I think he only gave up 1 pressure, and it was just because, Thibodeau's a freak. You could only hold him for so long. But still, he played him extremely well, and that was kind of like
suffocating grip strength. He has some flexibility to absorb power. You just love to see that.
Oh yeah, he also shut out Drake Jackson too. That was another game I jumped to. Was just very impressive. Yeah, I think there's a good chance he sneaks into the first round if we don't have anyone that really emerges in the tackle class. Yeah, because Kirkland, R.I.P. man, R.I.P. Yeah. So do you remember who your first tight end off the board was?
I think it was Weidemeyer.
Was it Weidemeyer?
Somewhere in the second round. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you sure about that?
It was either him or Cade Otton.
Who the hell's K-Dot?
Cade Otton.
Oh, Otton. Okay. What if I said it was Isaiah Likely?
Oh, it was Likely. There we go. I can't even remember my own mock.
To be fair, that's kind of this tight end class.
I know, right? Seriously.
It's a very good tight end class. Yeah. Like, you'll have guys
very deep, but like not any round 1 guys. That's
exactly. No, I totally agree. A lot of people really like Ruckert at Ohio State. Because he's got good athleticism to be a playmaker. He's just never really truly been featured in that offense because you got a LaVan Wilson. But he's definitely a really good run blocker. I think Trey McBride's kind of on par with his run blocking, but I think he's more of this. I think he's got good like straight line vertical speed, but he's not too dynamic as a route runner if you're really asking him to do much more than that. But
yeah, for sure. One of my guys is Josh Weil, Cincinnati. Although he's a little underweight, he's not a very good blocker, but just the receiving threat.
Yeah, that was the kind of thing I wanted to see with him this year was how would he hold up as a blocker? Because then you can kind of pass him off as this like H-back, kind of like Josiah DeGara was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Was it a couple? Maybe it was like
I think it was 2020.
2020, yeah, because it was Jordan Love draft. Because the Packers had a rough draft.
They really did.
Yeah. But I was talking about how I really liked Greg Dulcich at UCLA. That I felt like he was kind of this bigger, stockier, just better version of Kyler Granson at SMU. And you really saw that in the LSU game, man. I mean, even granted, like over half his production was on that 1 reception, but still, man, golly, dude, I like what he can do. Not just in like. Once you get the ball in his hands, but like through the seams, dude, he really is a mismatch nightmare.
For sure. I mean, having that speed and explosiveness, and then like he's not the biggest guy, but he's kind of like burly. He's a little shorter, a little burlier, and like you like to see that. It's a good mold to have. Yeah,
because I think he's up to around 240, 245. I think Wiley actually got up to that, or at least he's listed at that 245. I couldn't tell you I haven't really watched Cincinnati, so
Yeah, I got to catch up on them too.
yeah. Wiley was definitely a guy I was kind of excited about, just because you see the ball skills like last year.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, like he really only played like 4 games, or was featured in 4 games, something like that. Yeah, but
yeah, he can contort. I like his athleticism too. So he's definitely a traits guy.
yeah, I mean, Isaiah Likely's right up there too in terms of athleticism after the catch. I don't think Wademeyer, he's more of this physical guy, you know? Yeah, so
he doesn't separate super well, but in contested situations, he's good, and he's a good blocker too, which is nice.
yeah, it's an interesting class, definitely. So I think when I was looking at your second round, I feel like you try to showcase a lot of guys in your first round. So a lot of like guys that I think are first round prospects like kind of fell, which I mean, that's the draft. Good players fall. That's just going to be the case. Like Myjah Sanders, I think he's kind of like this. I kind of describe him as this inflatable, flailing tube. You know what I'm talking about? The inflatable guys. I feel like he doesn't really know how to use his hands well, outside of just trying to get like leverage on the outside shoulder. But he's so explosive and lengthy though.
Yeah, and he's got good bend too. Bend capacity anymore.
It's
like
good.
My biggest note from my summer scouting with him is he needs to learn how to better multitask and explode around the edge and bend while using his hands, but he has the traits.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of multitasking.
Yeah, just using things in unison, like feet and hands. I don't know what I'm saying.
Don't know what to do with my hands,
I would be a terrible edge rusher. I have no bend, and I don't know what I'm doing with my hands.
I'm more in the mold of the scat back, so yeah, definitely not.
I'm more in the mold of I'll get you that Gatorade, sir. You got actually Dracovic here in the second round. Yeah, I think he's a guy that probably comes out 2023.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. And this was after my mock, so I didn't really factor it in, but I think he just suffered an injury. I think he might be out for a little bit.
Did he really? Oh, no.
Yeah. So, yeah, that might kind of hurt his stock a little bit.
That sucks, because they've only faced like 2 FCS schools. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Injury is literally the first thing that pops up when I put it into Google. Unlikely to return in 20. Well, okay, he'll be a great prospect in 2023.
Yeah, that's tough, man. He was ascending.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Alex, he's a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and he kind of was like, he kind of reminds me a bit of Big Ben, and just he has that gunslinger mentality. And I could see that with Dracovic, but dang, dude. Way to rain on my parade. Yo, Trevor Penning, did you actually watch that Iowa State game?
I watched a little bit. Not as much as I would have liked to, but Will McDonald, I heard he put the clamps on him.
He did. Granted, I feel like Will McDonald kind of plays out of place. Like, they kind of ask him to be like this 3-4 end, and I think he's a guy you want to just unleash on the outside.
Yeah.
Because I think he got up to 240, but I don't think he doesn't look now. He looks like a guy that should be about 230.
Yeah.
It's an unnatural 240.
But, yeah, move him out to 5 tech or even 7, but not 3.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's just, you hate to see it. You hate to see it. I feel, and we were talking about Thomas Booker. I think he's a guy that kind of plays out of position that's going to really showcase what he can do in the offseason process.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. How do you feel about Job, by the way? Is that how you say it, Josh Job?
I think so. Yeah, he's a guy, I like some of the traits. The biggest thing with me for last year was gets a little volatile with his hand usage and physicality.
He does penalties.
Overzealous. Yeah, for sure. So I want to see some refinement there. I do like his traits. Not like, I don't think he's quite at the level of the top end guys for sure, but can be a good player.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. Yeah. I like him a lot better in day 2. I feel like he, obviously not Patrick Surtain. Like he was kind of a freak, but I would definitely, I would even put Diggs ahead of him. So
yeah,
I don't know. I feel at that point it's like I feel you more in the second or third, like late second, mid third maybe.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there.
Yeah. You want to talk about the Central Michigan? tackle?
Yeah, I'll talk about this. Will be my last one. It's like 1 a.m.
Yeah, dude, I hear you yawning, man. You're really putting a damper at the end of here.
I know.
Hey, dude, I understand, man. I'm boring, bro.
Honestly, I could talk draft all day. No, I can talk draft all day. It's 1 a.m., man. I gotta.
No, you're good, dude. Yeah, I'm a 3-hour difference, so I'm borderline fresh. So.
Yeah, I get it. Which 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. is like, the draft analyst, like 7 a.m.
Prime,
that's
right?
when you go to work. Exactly. For me, I got a mock draft to write again. I mean, the grind.
Dude, I have held you here for like over 3 hours, so.
You're fine, man. I love it. But yeah, I guess I'll leave you guys with Bernard Raymond, Central Michigan tackle. I think he was on Feldman's freaks list. Has a 33-inch vertical. Played really well against Missouri. I think Devin does a lot of great work on Twitter, and he shared some clips of him absolutely mauling guys and showing that physicality. So I think that, if he can translate that, he's also on the Senior Bowl watch list. So we know the guys can use the Senior Bowl. We know Quinn Miners did it last year. But these guys can use it to kind of elevate their stock. He's athletic enough. I think he could. Just kind of a really projection pick. I feel bad for Dolphins fans because the first pick I used it on a running back. Second one I used it on a guy no one's heard of. So a little rough there. But I think he has a lot of upside.
Have you seen Dolphins pick Austin Jackson? We took Wilkins not too long ago. So yeah.
Hey, with Jalen Waddle, I think things are going to turn around though.
Yeah, definitely. Just can't wait till we get to get someone that could throw to him. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do that YouTube thing. It's always much appreciated, much obliged, and it is much appreciated that Ian took the time to come out and hang out with us today. So show him a little love. His article is in the comments section. Well, description below. But let me know what you think in the comment section. And until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.